as we start, we are making camp for the night. You guys are getting ready to tuck in, making a meal,
guppies.
gathered around the campfire.
I have a couple platinum guppies.
Would
and
anybody
then
like to say anything
long
before
fin
you guys start your watch cycle?
leopard Danios.
Yes, I want to wait till everyone's gathered around. And I want to say to everybody, I want to explain my actions in town today in regards to the drow. And if I offended anybody, I want to apologize for that because I did not mean to offend or startle any of you. But to explain my actions, you have to get to know me and know my people. And where this comes from, drow, in the Underdark, most things in the Underdark are evil. The drow take that to a new level. To try to explain what the drow do. The drow, I mean, you have dwarves. Dwarves are master craftsmen. Other races do things. Humans are great at just entertainment chain and their zest for life. The elves and their beauty and nature is wonderful. The drow only do one
I'm
thing,
gonna go
and there are
early tonight.
in the
feeling
Underdark.
tired,
They are the,
but not now. Maybe an
shall we
hour
say, the
from now or so.
masters
Hazel, whenever it is
enslaver
right
race.
for you,
They
okay?
enslave and torture. They get others to do their bidding for them. I mean, what the drow is famous for is creating a poison known as drow sleep, because they don't want to kill their enemies. They want to take them alive so they can have their way with them, enslave them, and just use them whatever. So drow are very evil for it. And a particular point in history was, almost 300 years ago, the largest deep gnome city was Blingden Stone. Nearly 100,000 population. The drow came in and slaughtered everybody. There was only a few hundred survivors that were able to escape out of tens of thousands.
We don't fuck around with
I'm
plants.
lucky to be here because my great-grandfather was one of the few that escaped. But getting back to the drow, and it was more than just genocide what they did. Drow used other things.
Two-layer substrate.
Drow in that attack
good stuff.
Somehow controlled mind flayers and got mind flayers to do their act. And that was the mind flayers that were sent in first to take out the defenses of the town.
I like the tanks with the fizzers.
Then they came in, and like I said, it was torturous, it's horrendous. Their activities were horrific. I mean, the mind flayers, if you all know, and other creatures that they used were basically brain-sucking creatures that they used. It was complete chaos, and it was horrific, their activities and what they did.
Zakara, roll me a wisdom saving throw as you're explaining this.
Once the tank is more established, can you wean it off the CO2? I mean, you can, but depending upon what types of plants you put in and
as you're telling size hold on. This might be a good time for inspiration. Well, roll it in the box.
It's a little better.
Okay. So you're not visibly shaken, but you are mentally shaken as you're recounting about the details of mind flayers. You do not like them. They thoroughly disturb you and terrify you. And as you're recounting that part about the mind flayers, it makes you mentally just, your skin crawls and you feel tingles go down your spine as you talk about them.
Okay. And then I continue on with the story, shaking, trying to get my mind off of mind flares. All right. Then my great-grandfather traveled us, found us.
Boyfriend is reading
a new home,
a book on modern tanks, and heard Mandy say,
my family's
tanks.
been there ever since.
He said, and I quote, "Oh, they're talking about tanks now."
I am.
Fish tanks.
You know, gnomes are short. I'm short for a gnome. I'm basically their minimum size. uh, 3 foot nothing. I'm small for a gnome. So growing up, I was always like with all races and all kids. I was the one that was bullied and picked on and teased, and so I grew a hatred towards bullies as well, a disdain for them. I never knew my parents. My mother died in childbirth as I was born. My father, a few years later, again was killed by mind flayers, and I kind of shiver and go on with that. So,
Grim,
but
really
I heard
quick.
stories that, yeah.
And
Yes, ma'am.
of
Mandy?
course, like as this happens, and with seeing Drakara so shooken about this, and I don't have any understanding of a mind flare, but there's lots of things that I can recall. I'm gonna ask Drakara if I can mind link to understand what she's talking about, because then I'll be able to see what you're thinking about it, so I can see what it is.
And yes, I'll let you.
Okay, is that okay, Grim?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
He's willing to let you do it.
Sweet. So I will fully be able to see everything you're describing as it was.
And you will get a better appreciation and understanding exactly what's in my mind.
Perfect.
So you can see firsthand better than I can explain in a language that everyone else can have. That's actually my second language, so it makes sense. All right, so my parents died. I grew up in an orphanage. The orphanages were
bonsai tree
run
that I
by
want to use in my
the
tank when I
priestess of
finally redo
our
it.
deity, Smooth Hands.
With a lid this time?
And I grew up in the orphanage.
That's clever.
Growing up through schooling in one, I was, shall we say,
the
the
micro
honor student at the
lilies,
top of the
like
class
the wee ones
type person.
with the little purple flowers.
I was the good, sweet little child.
Rip Axel.
Of course, that was my reputation, and
did it
to be
die?
perfectly
Oh no,
honest,
it did before, right?
far from the truth. I was the consummate prankster, that was behind the scenes masterminds of all the trouble that kids get into. It was me behind the scenes manipulating other people to do it.
That's so
sweet. But I never got caught. No one ever knew it was me. And one of my favorite pranks and stuff was I would always save my pranks for the bullies that bullied me and the other smaller children. One stuff I would do is I would sneak into the small tunnels that nobody else could fit into, or the air shafts, and go get into the alchemist locker, grab some bottles of acid or poison, and I put acid like on the screws and the nails and the chairs and the pulleys, whatever, just so that when they came into class and sat in chairs, the chairs would break and fall, and the rest of the class would just have fun. They were just all friendly pranks, nothing harming. But I always saved them for the bullies because they were my nemesis whatsoever. But I got away with it. Nobody ever knew I was doing it. And occasionally, if we wanted to have a day off from school and learning or whatever, maybe I slip a poison in the teacher's tea or food or whatever to let them just enough to get them sick, not to hurt them. Whatever, to get sick and go home. Okay, we have no school today. We all get to go play instead. So I was a prankster, but it was the
poisoning isn't a prank,
not harmful.
though.
It was all I just sitting there all good.
It's still poisoning, though.
And I did this for years. Must have done scores of pranks over the years.
But poisoning,
and you know,
though.
Even though gnomes are lived to be over 200 years old, I am also not only small, but I'm young for a gnome. I'm only a mere 33 years old. But I just the early 20s in a human timeline. So I'm a relatively young gnome. Well, anyways, one day I was constantly sneaking through tunnels and caverns, whatever. I stumbled across a hidden chamber that nobody knew about.
Was it a
and
chamber
I looked
of
around,
secrets?
It's empty, nobody's there. But I noticed there's all kinds of exotic weapons and a bookcase full of books, and there's a painting on the wall. And I discovered that it's the sleeping chamber of the janitor for the orphanage. whose name is Ula, a much elderly gnome. She's well beyond elderly age. She's very old. And I was going through the books, and one thing that I even studying in my over the years lessons, I found interesting that breach gnomes were elite warriors, warriors that were trained
Didn't
to
happen.
defend
Didn't see me.
against superior numbers. They're kind of the elite commandos of the deep gnome world. And I was always interested in their stories. And I found their stories to be interesting.
Did you
So,
tell him you poisoned the
and in this
teachers?
bookshelf of the janitor, of Hula's bookshelf, I found all kinds of books on these breach gnomes. So I would read there, and over the next couple of years or whatever, I'd sneak in here and she's not around, I'd read these books. I'm getting to learn about them. One day, I come in there, I break in, and Ula's home. First time she's ever been there. And she's home, she's got a book on there on the couch, the sofa, and it's about breach gnomes. And she's there, she says, hi, hello, how are you doing? She gets to know her. She introduced us, we get her. She goes, here's a book for you. And she knew exactly what I was reading. I was reading about breach gnomes. She gave me this. And she came in to be my best friend. I said, without my parents, she actually turned in to be my mentor. And one of the things up on the wall was a painting of a female breach gnome that was fighting off a Druger, deep dwarfs. And it's one of the paintings I liked. Well, over the years, get to know her, and every now and then, I would go into Ula's room, and she would have us sitting on the table, like, or on the floor, broken chairs or broken tables or empty vials of acid and poison. And she would have these every few often, and she would say, hey, don't you think you ought to repair these chairs and tables? Or don't you think you ought to put these vials back where they belong? She never admitted it. But I knew that somehow she had known every prank I pulled off. I thought I'd gotten away from it, but somehow she knew, even though she never met. She kept it to herself. And we're going down. When I said, she became my mentor and teacher. And then one day I go in there and we find out that she's in the hospital. She's in a coma. Ola's in a coma. I go in there and all the hospitalers are amazed that such an elderly woman is still clinging to life. She's alive, albeit in a coma. She's alive. And they're all amazed. They still alive, fighting for life for some reason. They don't know how this elderly lady has the strength to fight on. Well, I get sad and distraught. So I go back to Ola's chambers and I'm in there pouting and I'm pacing, much like I did in front of the store this morning. And I'm pacing back and forth, and I just glance over and I notice under her bed there's a chest. I go under it, I open the chest, and in this chest there's armor, there's a bow, a sword, okay, and there's medals and letters of citations from the king and pendants and everything. And I go to read it all and find out that Ula was a retired breach gnome. And I just lit up and glue and and something about the armor struck me as odd. And so I glanced up at the painting, and she's the gnome that's in the painting. She was a retired breach gnome, my desire. So I'm getting all giddy and happy, and it's cheering me up for my sadness from her being ill. And then I notice there's a letter in there, and the letter's addressed to me. And it tells me, Takara, if you want to be a breach gnome, you have to go to the city of Nomengard, look up Dibblestein and Fibblesteed. They are master inventors. They will create for you personal customized equipment that will extenuate and improve on your personal traits. What's best for you, they know how to invent it and give you something that works ideally for you. So I got all excited. A few days later, I leave, and this is what I want to do. I want to become a breach gnome, and I'm doing exactly what my mentor said. And so I'm heading off to meet them, and that's when I stumbled upon you guys.
And as Drakara finishes, you all are almost overwhelmed, but you feel that you have a better understanding of your companion and her motives and what is driving her. How do you respond?
Well, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Please. Nope. Oh. Okay. I look at Jakara from across the campfire and just say, so you aspire to be one of these breach gnomes? I've never heard of this. This must be a very lauded position and secret amongst the gnomes. Is this the case?
Yes, it is. Like I said, they're basically our elite commandos. To put a out of game idea to let you better understand as a player, not necessarily a character, but to give you an idea, Lord of the Rings, the Battle of Helm's Deep, Gimli and Aragorn are outside the door fighting off 100. They're defending the door so they can repair the door. They're fighting off 100 orcs all by themselves. That's what a breach gnome does, because in the Underdark, okay, all our cities are in caverns or whatever, but they're small tunnels that lead into the cavern. So when a tunnel opens up to a cavern, that's kind of like our gate into the city.
So almost
breach gnomes are
like a berserker, almost how they would use them to hold off specific areas.
Right, exactly. And so, like I said, like that. So, like I said, that Lord of the Rings reference. That's exactly what a breach gnome is. They're trained to be able to fight and defend their position against superior numbers. They're like the first line of defense, or the last line of defense, depending on how you look at it.
Incredibly powerful. I hope you get there.
Yes. Thank you very much. And so, yes, it's a high honor in our society because they are basically, and I came across it being, like I said, growing up, I hated the bullies, and I was the defender of the little ones that got bullied. So I would take my revenge out on the bullies in protection of the young. So it's always been in me ever since I was young to be a defender of the innocent. And that's kind of like what a breach gnome does. They're defending the city from invasion. And so it kind of goes along with the way I've been feeling my whole life. So something's calling me to it, and that's what I aspire to be. And Drow are at the forefront. So if all of a sudden Mind Flayer starts showing up, I'm going to put 2 and 2 together.
Oh,
of course, I know I just gave the DM a whole bunch of ideas.
With severing my mind link with Jakara, and after hearing what Parsec had to say, I'm going to thank Jakara for letting me have a better understanding of what mind flayers are and the difficulties of the deep gnomes. It sounds terrifying, to be honest with you. But just as much as the only thing I ever try to keep in mind, and hopefully you will too, is some people in all types and all walks of life try to get away from things because they don't agree with them. Doesn't mean that there's not a large population that do, and I'll 100% give you that. But it doesn't mean that there might not be one or two that don't.
I want to get and finding to all of you that to get you. I'm falling in love with each and every one of you. All of you have little pieces of Ula, my mentor, in you.
Delta Force, Airborne,
Isla,
Division.
Your kindness and caring for everyone else in the group reminds me of Ula.
Battleship.
Sarodagni, your dedication to your duty reminds me of Ula. And Alan, which is tinkering and his gears and everything else, reminds me of the one thing that gnomes are known for the best, as being tinkerers and inventors and creators. So I see all of you, bits and pieces of all of you, in my society, and particularly within my mentor, Ula, and I love you all for that. You are the kind of people that I'm happy and safe and comfortable to be around, because you remind me of Ula.
Well, thank you for that. That's very honorable of you to say that. And personally, I appreciate that as someone who also doesn't really have a lot of people in their lives to depend on. So thank you for that.
You're more than welcome.
And as the night wanes and you all finish your food as Drakara tells her tale, who is doing
I just had a vision come in my head.
Sorry, did you have something to say, Claude?
Yeah.
I apologize.
No worries. I would like to, while they're finishing up their tale and everybody's kind of getting started to go to bed, I'd like to cast alarm around our campsite.
How long does alarm last again? 8 hours?
8 hours.
Okay.
Oh, and one more thing. And I look at Isla, and I said, Isla, I know you love nature, whatever. Well, I have a little surprise for you. I love animals myself. And I open up my cloak, and you guys see a bat inside. And I say, here is Draco, my new friend.
Oh, he's cute. He's got a
What a
bat
beautiful
friend.
name for a beautiful creature.
It gives him inspiration, it gives him some confidence, thinking he's a dragon.
Randy, you started saying something.
Alarm is a
Have you
30-foot or 20-foot square?
20
Okay,
foot
so
square.
you said Delta Force Airborne Division.
Okay.
Okay.
So I will.
It made me think of
put you
the
guys on a map real
G-Force
quick.
movie of the elite task force of guinea pigs. And that's 100% where I went, dude. It was really bad. Mandy, I got it. I figured where we were going.
And after casting alarm, I'll say to the party that if they need anything that is magical identified, I have the ability to do that as an 11-minute ritual. I can do that. So just keep that in
Where
mind
would
in
you
the
like
future.
that alarm cloud?
Around us. Yeah.
Okay.
Right there.
Can I hand Parsec my scythe? Because we kind of got some identification for it, but not like a good identification.
As you go to hand the scythe to Parsec, do you try to grab it, Parsec?
I don't try to grab it, I have to touch it.
Okay. Do.
And during everybody's watch, seeing how Draco is a, shall we say, night owl, he's nocturnal, I let him stay watch with everybody. And every now and then he'll circle around the camp, doing a 360 around to check out, but he'll be with everybody. And with instructions to wake me up if he should see something.
Okay.
While I sleep.
Badass bat.
You
Also-
want him to wake you up before you go? That's good.
Yeah. You might want that. So you're casting Identify on the scythe?
Right. I'm casting
Okay.
it as a ritual, so it's not going to burn a spell slot, but it does take me 11 minutes.
Okay,
No,
good.
Delta Force is something.
As you start
Said
to
when somebody
cast
fucked up,
Identify
they
on
don't
the
care
scythe,
about
since you're using it
what
as a
means.
ritual,
They probably touch boats.
it doesn't work for some reason. Roll me an Arcana check.
Stupid scythe. It doesn't make any sense.
Okay. I have to move boxes. Perfect. So as you examine it more closely,
It explodes.
you realize that there is another force to this scythe. You understand that the scythe has been claimed. And that it's not going with anyone else but Starodavni now. And that it's collecting. You don't know what quite it's collecting, but there's energy starting to be stored in the scythe. As you sit and you ponder, you realize that it's absorbing the life force of the creatures that have been killed around Star Adopting. You don't know roughly what is going on with it, but you have a better understanding of what it is. Could be good, could be bad.
As I finish my ritual, I will look to Starodavni very seriously and say, this scythe, whether you use it or not, is a container of sorts, and it seems to be holding the life forces of the creatures that are slain by you, whether you use it or you use your other weapons. It will not go with anyone else, so it is, in a sense, attuned to only you. I do not know what the purpose of this scythe is, but it is doesn't seem to be either good or bad yet.
Thank you. That's really weird. I don't know. I got this ring and it's really cool, but it's really destructive. And so I would like to. I'm gonna lean the scythe down on one of these logs, and I'm gonna walk over to Isla.
As you walk over to Isla, the scythe flashes and is on your back.
Fuck! Did you see that, Isla?
You having trouble there?
I'm gonna set it down at her feet, and I'm gonna go over to Parsec.
Same thing happens again.
Fuck! Double fuck. God, did you see it that time?
Yep.
Yes.
I'm haunted by bad farming equipment.
Maybe you were a farmer in a previous life.
Here, Star W. Let me see if I can help you with that. Maybe let's try something. Maybe it takes a magical touch. So I cast Mage Hand and have my Mage Hand go grab the scythe, and pull it away.
As soon as your mage hand goes to grab it, it's dispelled.
I'm gonna go so she can sleep later. Bye, Battleship. Thank you so much.
So what are you gonna name this thing, Star W?
I'm not gonna name it. I don't even know what it's doing. What if it doesn't have anything else to eat and suck off of, and then it just like consumes me? I have enough problems, honestly. I don't, and with the ring thing, that whole situation, I don't even know. I'm quite perplexed now with one, this passive compulsion for this ring, and then now bad farming equipment.
Would you like to use the ring? Do you have any uses of it left?
We haven't slept yet, I don't think.
No.
You, I believe, have 4 because you guys slept in town, then you haven't used it.
Oh, I do.
So you used it in Tresender, you got your bread, you got your gems and stuff, you guys went back to town, rested, and then did stuff in town, but you have not used it yet.
Well, if I'm gonna use it, I should probably go far away, right, guys? I don't want to.
Not too far away.
Yeah, maybe outside of the alarm, maybe.
I'm gonna go like over there.
Yeah, it seems
I
good
back
enough.
off at least 20 feet away from her before she does it.
That's a good idea. I don't blame you, honestly.
All right.
I'm going to fly up in the air 15 feet and stay about there.
Okay.
And now I have 4 charges this time?
Yes, ma'am.
Ah, shit. 1.
Hey!
Nice.
Roll me a d10. You get 3 pounds of bread. Let me add that to your inventory while you do your other rolls.
We got bread, guys.
So that's you. So roll me 2d4. Perfect. You are full health.
And now I feel better. And we have bread.
And you have bread. This is number 3.
Uh,
I don't have a target.
So, the ring without having a target.
Shit.
Parsec, as you're flying near Star Davni, you suddenly get overwhelmed with an irrational fear of everyone else in the party. And it'll last for a minute. So it's just
a minute
all of a
or
sudden
1 round?
a minute. Since we're out of combat, we're gonna say it's a minute. It's not gonna be consequential. It's not gonna cause you any trouble. If you get if this last roll happens to go combat based, it'll have an effect in the first round of combat, but beyond that, nothing else. You'll be scared of your party.
Do I notice him flying erratically?
I'm flying higher.
Sorry. Whoops.
Like, oh, does he see something?
So then this is the last one?
Yes, ma'am. All right. So, you get a D12 of Bardic Inspiration. And I don't think anybody else is within 30 feet of you. Oh, Drakara is. Isla is not. Parsec is not. So if you choose, you and Drakara can have a D12 of Bardic Inspiration.
Yeah. Let's be inspired.
Parsec, your fear wears off.
I love / hate this ring.
I love / hate it too.
It could have been worse.
And then
Yeah.
what do I roll for the recharge?
Nothing. It just recharges completely after a long rest.
No, because you said that I can roll something of whether it gains or loses a charge.
How many charges she gains back is variable.
Remember,
are
it
you?
It was a D6, and it was a 5 or 6. It gains. It says on my combat tracker.
Oh, that was for when you were dragon.
Oh,
For when you get your breath weapon back.
there was another one though that was for the.
Yeah, that was Starro. He tried to amplify the ring.
Oh, okay. So it's not every time. Okay, so we're at
No.
4. Okay, cool. Let me go back. We got. I'm
Parsec, like I said, the fear has worn off at this point.
Yeah, I'm just gonna fly back to where I was and quietly just get ready for the rest and not say anything because it's not too sure what happened. But there will be suspicious glances at the party.
Is there anything else anyone would like to do before we start our watch cycle?
Actually, I will. Oh, go ahead.
Nope, you first.
I'm gonna walk over to Starro and whisper. I don't know if it was the ring or not, but suddenly I was deathly afraid of the 3 of you.
How are you feeling now?
I know that I was not supposed to be, but something made me afraid.
Well, I used the ring and I didn't see anything else happen, and nothing else was around, so it could have been the ring.
I think you're right. I'm kind of recording all the things the ring does. Do you mind if I do that? Or do you want that to be just for you?
No, that's fine.
Makes people afraid of their friends. Gives bread.
It gives bread
2
we get
checks.
often.
2 checks next to bread. And what was the last thing it did? I was too high up. I couldn't see what happened.
I gained a bardic inspiration.
It's like it just gives it to you. Like you don't even need the bard around to do that.
No.
That's pretty.
And it doesn't wear off.
Gives permanent bardic inspiration until used.
Yep.
Okay, awesome.
It was a D12.
So it's like super bardic inspiration then.
There's temptation involved with this ring, Mandy.
I understand. This is why I love / hate it. Because I roll the dice. I see what else is on this list, and it's scary.
It's literal gambling.
As I walk back,
100%.
as I walk back to my little area where I'm going to sleep for the night, I kind of over my shoulder go, we can learn to make bread.
But this is elvish bread. Are you an elf?
We have an elf.
And I hold up one of the breads to Isla. Do you make this bread?
I mean, I could. I'm a half elf. Excuse me. I'm a half elf. So.
I go, she only makes the sandwich bread version of this, not the regular version of this.
Sandwich bread is just as important.
I'm not saying I wouldn't value sandwich bread. I'm just saying that it's the half this bread version. Maybe.
Oh,
I don't know.
A sandwich sounds amazing right now.
But she didn't have to get messy to make this bread, and we didn't have to wait for it to rise or get elvish yeast. How do you find elvish yeast?
You ask an elf, and if they give it to you, then it's elvish yeast.
Any yeast given by an elf is elvish yeast. I'm gonna quit talking to the bird now because of his jokes. I'm gonna throw you in the old parsec well.
Fair enough. I'm sorry for being funny, and I will kind of like get my roosting situation situated so I can take a rest, and I'll tell the party I'll keep an eye after Jakara, since that'll be the darkest and we see the best at night.
Random question, Grim. Because of my employment, I'll say it this way. I can't get woken up for a watch.
I will take 2 watches.
You trance for 4 hours, correct? Mandy, I believe that's how you get a long rest?
Yeah.
So your charge would be for 4 hours.
Okay, so I should be fine still?
Yes.
Okay.
So basically, 2 watches would have to pass, and then you would have the opportunity to be released from your charge.
Okay. Okay, then I'm gonna say, I'll go third. I like third. Third is best.
I'll go last. I'm an early riser anyway.
I'll go second.
Mike. Your mic.
I guess that leaves me first. I'll get used to it one of these days.
Eventually. All right. Well, as you all tuck in for the night, you get cozy. Ground's kind of hard, but it's a nice, like, forest grass carpet.
I'm just perched on the log next to me.
Jakara, roll me a survival check.
Yeah.
All right. Your watch passes by. You hear the howl of wolves in the distance. You think you hear rustling in the forest near you. You can't tell for sure. But beyond that, you catch the glow of, like, eyes of something in the woods watching the camp, but it never comes any closer for you to see it. It leaves after about 30 minutes of your watch. And nothing else happens.
It's an ordeal. Yeah, it's a problem.
All right, then I'll wake up Isla. It's her turn. I pass that information. It says, hey, seems like some animals out there. And Parsec, second. Oh, okay. And let him know. Hey, there's possibly some animals, some wolves maybe out there in that general direction, but they didn't bother us. They looked acting more curious about us. They didn't come forward, but they are there.
And curiosity can lead to hunger, and that's not good. Okay, I'll keep an eye out for wolves.
He's such a little scaredy bird. Oh my gosh.
And I will not move. I'll just put my other foot down because I roost with one foot up. And
Roost with one
I'll start
eye
reviewing
open.
my
God, it's so
scroll.
good. We could do this. This could be a vibe.
Halfway, like paying attention to the scroll, mostly paying attention to what's around us.
Okay. I'll say during your watch you can finish the scroll.
Okay.
Roll me a survival check. All right. It's not bad. Once again, curiosity of creatures at the edge of the woods. You see it. You pick up on it. You see forms and shapes of some sort of creature. Can't quite tell what it is. This time it stays a little bit longer. It lingers.
As I notice the creature watching me, going
Is that
to
a cranberry song? Linger?
use
Such a
thaumaturgy
for you.
and make the
Why are
sound
songs
of a
in my head today?
dying
Why? What is the problem? Come
squirrel
on, Mander.
somewhere in
Focus.
the trees behind it.
It
See if-
pays no attention to the sound.
I'm gonna chuck a stick at it.
Perfect.
And go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was gonna wake up Starro.
Okay. After about 45 minutes, you see the eyes and the form just disappear.
What color are the eyes?
Orange.
Can I detect the shape of the eyes?
Roll me a perception check.
I would like to chronal shift that.
Okay.
Let me see if I can. Yep, ability check. So I can do chronal shift. And I'll roll that again. And I will be looking around in the woods and I'll realize like my eyes aren't working so well and I will focus
Sorry
on
for the
my
snarf.
clockwork
I'm the worst.
amulet. And I will slow time down and I'll take a second look.